Yo, 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 guys, what is up? And welcome back to another episode of the Warriors Invitational. It's your boy Gautam, my boys Matt and Chuck. Gentlemen, we've made it. 82 games in the books. What a season, what a run. It's not over yet, but it might be soon. But before we get into everything, boys, how we doing? Matt, Chuck, talk to me, brothers.
It's a poor
Yeah,
cocktail kind of
Chuck's
vibe.
ready, dude. Chuck's done.
I'm ready. I'm ready for whatever comes. How about you, Matt?
Yeah, I'm ready for it, man. I need the Warriors. Again, I was telling you guys ahead of time, of course, I'm rooting for them to win. I'm going to be angry if they don't win, but the anger is like 1 or 2 days. If they win, I'll be long term miserable for as long as they keep winning. So, um, yeah, no, I'm looking forward to the week. We'll see what happens.
I'm kind of I don't even know how to feel going into this. Part of me is I'm with you guys where it's like just shoot me, put it out, put me out of this misery. But part of me also feels like if we can get through this week, championship. But we'll see. We'll see how this all plays out. I got the shirt with all the legends on. Hopefully, channel some sort of aura from the past to pass them through. But Warriors obviously end up in the 10 seed after kind of an anticlimactic turn of events on Sunday, but lost to the Pelicans on Friday. Kind of a microcosm of the season. Warriors kind of came out, showed what they could do, had a double-digit lead. All of it evaporated with a lot of turnovers, a lot of threes on the other side for the Pelicans, and then just kind of a back and forth crunch time game that the Warriors came up short. So pretty much cemented the Warriors in the 10 seed. Luckily, the Lakers kind of took care of business on their end. And the Kings went 1-2 like we had needed them to go. So it's a date with Sacramento, Tuesday night, tomorrow night, in Golden One. Um, just kind of talking about the play, man. We were on the last episode, we were kind of going through some of the scenarios where the Warriors finished 8, 9, 10, kind of the people that they wanted to match up with. And I think Sacramento was on the top of all of our lists in terms of a team that you wouldn't be, opposed to seeing in a winner go home situation, and that's where we're at right now. So, Chuckster, man, kick it off for us. Is outside again the 8 seed, which maybe wasn't even the way the top of the West kind of shook out with Denver getting 2 and OKC at 1. Was this kind of the best case scenario that if you had to draw it all up, albeit having to win 2 games, but the way the path kind of sets itself up, was this kind of the best scenario of how this worked out for the Warriors as the season ended?
I mean, the best scenario was, finding a way to climb at least to a home game in the winter go home. But in terms of the matchups, I think this was the best they could have asked for. The Lakers, I think they have not really played well against because the Lakers draw a lot of fouls. Whether or not you think those fouls are warranted or not is another discussion entirely. But the Warriors are also a team that likes to foul. They're also a team that turns it over a lot, and the Lakers have a great transition game. So it's really just not the kind of matchup they need. They also really just, I mean, unless Andrew Wiggins recaptures his 2022 playoff form, like they don't have the guys to deal with LeBron and AD. I think it's just not the matchup they needed. And the Kings, De'Aaron Fox, he's a problem in his own right, but I think Domantas Sabonis is a problem that they are very much capable of facing. I think the move that you kind of have there is you could probably get away with starting Kevon Looney, but I think I'd rather start Trace Jackson Davis. Let him take that matchup one on one. Let Draymond cover Harrison Barnes. If Harrison Barnes wants to take 15 shots, then I say let him. Just have Draymond roam around, trying to contain Sabonis as a doubler, try to read his passes, try to force as many turnovers or force him into playing that single coverage. And I'm interested to see how they try to contain Fox because Fox is definitely the kind of guy who could toast him. But on the other hand, I don't really see the Kings having much of an answer for Steph Curry. Davion Mitchell's going to be back in the lineup, and we all know that he generally plays him pretty well, but that's also just, I mean, man, whatever good he does on the defensive end is just totally wiped out by the lack of offense. So I not only is it a good matchup for them, but with the Herder and Monk injuries really putting a dent in the season for Sacramento, they're catching I think the best team they could in this play-in. How do you see it, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, so as far as where they're at, you can't get much better than this. I'm not gonna. I mean, I don't feel good about anything, so I'm not gonna, get too happy or excited. But yeah, this is the best team or the best matchup possible. Um, Fox is the biggest issue, but as far as having to contain only one guy on the perimeter, that's a pretty big deal for this team, especially with Gary Payton out. Maybe we should talk about it at some point. But yeah, it's there's one guy to focus on in my opinion. That's De'Aaron Fox, but it's also one of those things where I'm kind of done watching this team completely sag off anybody. Like there's like a Harrison Barnes. I think he dropped 40
Yep.
against the Warriors earlier this year, right? And that's not to say Harrison Barnes is going to do that again. Obviously, if you had, gun to your head bet you had to make, you'd pick Harrison Barnes, not do that again, right? But this team needs to guard the 3 point line this game, in my opinion, because it's not they get burnt there. They get burnt there every single night. I'd also agree. Again, listen, I was more scared of Phoenix going into this whole thing. So having New Orleans potentially on the second side of this, yeah, please, please. I have yet to see Zion play well in a massive game. Granted, that first Golden State game, but Draymond defends him as well as anybody. Like I said, I want to see this team. It's hard beating anybody twice in a row. It's hard to beat Steph Curry twice in a row. So yeah, this is the best way. With that being said, here's my problem with this kind of thing. Okay, when there's consensus that this is the best matchup and we all feel good about it. When I say we all, I don't just mean the three of us. I mean like Warriors fandom and like NBA fandom in general. When the consensus is that the Kings are the right matchup, something goes wrong. Things go wrong usually, in my opinion. That's what I'm worried about. So, not having Monk is huge. He actually has not, outside of that game winner, put up crazy numbers against the Warriors this year. It's been pretty pedestrian, anywhere from like 9 to I think maybe he dropped 20 one time, but he hasn't been blown by anybody by any means. But no, I mean the Warriors should win. I'm well past the point though of expecting the Warriors to win games that they should. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, no, I mean that's exactly where I'm at. It's one of those where if you had given us, like as we said, kind of in the last one, if you told us it was the Kings and the Pelicans to get into the playoffs, you take that. I think even after that last game against the Pelicans, the Warriors outplayed them really for 3 quarters. I think they played really well in the third, in the first, kind of clawed back in the third, and it was really that second quarter with all the turnovers, with all the threes. So in a second matchup, like you said, man, I see that going, better than it did on Friday, and even that was a Steph Curry one-legged shot away from, or whatever, one-handed shot to tie it or whatever. But yeah, I'm with you. I just don't know with this team anymore. They're playing some of their best basketball. They're 27-12 in their last 39. So it's not even a case of, are they playing their best? They really have been over the last, couple months. But you just never know what team you're gonna get on a nightly basis. I think back to that Bucks game where it was the first time everybody's healthy. I think Chris Paul was the first guy back. Steph tweaks his ankle, and they lose to the Bulls the next day. So it's just kind of been one of those years where you really can't, predict anything. In that sense, where I think the only prediction is that the Warriors are going to be in a close game and they're going to have a shot. So I don't see that. I think this is going to be a dogfight. These two teams know each other really well. The Warriors, for the most part, have had the upper hand. I know they've sold a couple games this year, but even in those games, it looked like they were clearly just had the mental edge, especially just going back into the building where Steph drops 50 last year to end their season. I know Sacramento Kings fans aren't feeling good about the matchup, just having to go through another Warriors team and another Steph-led team in a winner go home. So they do have that, but again, this is a young Sacramento team that obviously is going to want to get some payback for last year. If anything, if their season ends, they're not going to make too much noise in the playoffs, regardless of if they advance or not. But if you told them that their opportunity was to send home the Warriors and payback, I think that's a lot. That's all they can really play for right now. Just with the injuries that they have and things like that. But yeah, I mean, in terms of just like on paper, yeah, I don't see why the Warriors shouldn't win this game. And even on a larger sense, I think that Pelicans Lakers game is going to be really fun to watch. Obviously they played each other on the last day of the season, and the Lakers kind of dog walked them. And they didn't even have to leave New Orleans, so it's not even like a travel thing. So it's kind of one of those home and homes where you don't have to travel to see those teams again. So I anticipate it being Kings Warriors, and then hopefully Warriors Pelicans to go. But even looking at it broader in terms of how the West shook out, I think going into it with Minnesota, Denver, and OKC as being those kind of fighting for that first seed and top two seeds in terms of where the Warriors would probably end up in terms of playing somebody in the first round. I think OKC is the best matchup. Young team, played him pretty well this season. Obviously, I think two of those blown games this year came against OKC. One was at Chet three, and one was fouling Chet on a three. When I feel like you could have switched the outcomes of those plays, and who knows, the Warriors might probably win two against them. They had the play-in win, so a young team again that hasn't been truly tested in the playoffs, and I think they definitely don't want to see a team like the Warriors. I think if the Lakers can get the second seed, the seventh seed, and they have to go play Denver again, another one, just one of those two teams that you don't really want on your side of the bracket. So looking at it from a bigger picture, if the Warriors can get through this week, and really just lock in, defend 3-point line, don't turn the goddamn ball over. There's no reason why they shouldn't get lock in that 8 seed. They have the experience on both these teams. They have the mental edge over the Kings. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. In terms of predictions, it feels pretty good. But again, like you said, Matt, you just really never know with this team. But GP2 is out tomorrow night. And I think for pretty much confirmed for the second playing game, if there is one. How big of an impact is that against both these teams, but specifically Sacramento tomorrow? And who's gonna have to step up in your guys' eyes? Obviously you're gonna need everybody. You're gonna need Steph to have break out of this kind of slump that he's been in, and give you kind of one of those save us performances. But who are kind of maybe one or two guys that you feel like have to really make their impact on this game known, so that the Warriors move on to that 8 loser game?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go with two guys that, at least for me, came to mind immediately. First, Wiggins. Listen, that's the guy who, like, Steve Kerr needs to take tomorrow seriously, and Wiggins should probably just match Fox's minutes tomorrow. Like, that's not really a question in my mind. Like, Wiggins does a good job in that guy. Wiggins' defense in the last month and a half has been far better than it was anytime the Warriors played the Kings previously in the year. So that, in my opinion, is a huge one. The second guy is Trace Jackson Davis. So if I told you the over-under for minutes for Trace Jackson Davis so far against the Kings was 20, would you go over/under?
Under.
20 total minutes?
Like in terms of
Against the
like the
Kings.
other matchups, or like for tomorrow?
No, the previous three matchups, or four matchups. How many minutes has Trace Jackson Davis played?
I'd go under.
Under 20?
Yeah, under.
5 minutes. Okay, he's played 5 minutes against the Kings this year. 3 out of those times, I think he was a DNP CD, and one time I think he suited up, and then he got 5 minutes the other time. But that's just a whole new look. The Kings defense, I just haven't seen that, right? And they don't have a guy equipped to kind of handle that vertical pressure from TJD. So I really think, first of all, you mentioned it, Chuck. Like, yeah, they probably could start Looney, who's actually, in my opinion, he's looked his best this season of late, I think. But again, it's got to be like a break glass kind of thing for me. I think TJD needs to be the guy to get out there. He should be able to throw a few down some bonuses ahead. Those two guys, in my opinion, are the game changers. I do want to shout out Kuminga as just like a third option, just because, again, the Warriors truly. No, I got to give Clay his credit. Actually, Clay's been balling out, but like, just they need secondary scoring outside of Steph, and I'm not really. I don't know what to expect from Steph right now. The guy's cooked. He's been carrying a roster that a 36-year-old has no business carrying for a long time now. So I hope the slump is broken. You know what he brings either way. Even if he's not shooting the ball particularly well, but they're going to need guys like Kuminga, Wiggins, and Clay step the hell up tomorrow. But Chuck, what about you?
Yeah, I like TJD. I like Wiggins. I think the one I was really focusing in on is Chris Paul, because Steph, we know what he's going to do scoring wise. Clay is going to carry a lot of that load, but they need Chris Paul to be hit. They need him to hit a couple timely threes. They need him to make some big passes, and especially, I mean, if we're going to see the Davion Mitchell, Keon Ellis minutes, like, he needs to do his job, not let those guys get away and score any more points than they should. But he also needs to make him pay. Like, he needs to get himself into that mid-range, hit a couple buckets. Who knows? Maybe he'll even get to the rim. But I I think Chris Paul is a huge swing point because even in this winner go home game, you're going to have to rest Steph at some point. And you're going to have some minutes inevitably where those two are playing together. And the entire Kings defense is going to be keying in on Steph. So Chris Paul has to be hitting big shots and he has to be willing to take those big shots because they're going to need it. In this kind of context, if you're trying to, shade coverages away to take away Steph or even just straight up double him off the ball, it is such a gut punch to create a 4-on-3 and then have a guy hurt you a few times. And Chris Paul is the one who can do the hurting in that scenario. So that's something I think it's going to be huge because if he ends up in single digits, that might be rough for this game. But if he gives them 10, 12, hell, even who knows, maybe even 15 points, if he can really ratchet it up a bit, that could be the thing that swings this game.
Yeah, no, fully agree. I like the Chris Paul pick. I like the TJD one. I think Wiggins and Kuminga really have to. But for me, the two key ones are Clay and Draymond, man. It's gonna come down to the big three in this one. It's a winner go home game, especially Draymond. You know that crowd is gonna be just otherworldly. We've seen Draymond have his moments in Sacramento, even just last year with the whole stomp thing. So just making sure you're on the court, man. And just the defensive pressure that TJD can bring from just a center standpoint, being a rim protector, allowing Draymond to roam, I think it's just gonna open up a lot more for this team to just get out and transition and run. And then Clay's been playing really, really well. I like that he played the last game against Utah, got to see some shots go in, got a decent rhythm in, I think 18, 20 minutes, however much he played. But I think those two guys, because the Warriors, like the entire season, man, we haven't had that, second scorer. And with Clay being on kind of a heater the last, month or so, if we can get a vintage Steph, Clay, Draymond performance, I don't see the Warriors losing this game. Obviously, you need other guys to step up. I think JK is going to be huge. He's been kind of slow since coming back. Obviously hurt the tailbone, I think, against Portland and missed that Pelicans game. Or yeah, he missed that Pelicans game. Something like that. But so obviously probably not 100%. You don't have GP2, so it's going to be all hands on deck. But it starts with those three. The way this team's been built, for better or for worse. But with the way they've been playing, with the way Draymond looks, I think Steph and Draymond resting that last game in Utah was huge. Get him a couple extra days. But it's going to come down to those three. As cliche as it sounds, man, like this dynasty is on its last legs, and whatever juice is left, it's probably, if they lose in the play-in, all bets are off for, what really is going to go down next season. So I would love to see, a vintage trio performance to kind of get them one step closer to getting into the dance. But yeah, big game tomorrow. Before we get out of here, guys, there's a topic that I saw on the radio today, and there's a lot more for offseason stuff, and we can obviously go way deeper. But how important is it for the Warriors to win tomorrow, and not even just get out of the play-in, but to win tomorrow, not be bounced in the first round or the first game of the play-in?
I think like
It doesn't matter.
let's be realistic. Let's be realistic here. Like if they find a way to fight their way out of the play-in, they get into a first round, and I think against these top teams in the West, they should be able to put up a competitive fight. But I mean, even if they go all the way, they're locked into playing the Thunder. So I still think the Thunder win that series. I mean, best case scenario, they could probably push it to 6 games, but getting bounced in 6 games in the first round really change things that much from getting bounced at the beginning of the play-in, or if you lose the second game, even after you win the first. Because I think what it really, it would be nice to say like, hey, we got through the play-in and get to lord it over on, it's be like, oh, we own the Kings or we own the whatever. And yeah, sure, that's great. But I don't think it materially changes things for this team going into the offseason because it's still like, hey, this was not good enough for this trio that we have. We need to put together a better team around them. We need to really start to put some assets together that are going to fit. We need to make some hard decisions about who stays or goes on this roster instead of just being deep but not good. That's not going to fly again. So I don't really think it changes that much. Like, yes, would I love to have the beam go unlit, and would I love to put the fear of God into the Thunder? Maybe even get a little we believe action. Yeah, but I don't really think it changes that much because regardless, this team was not good enough for what they need to be for Steph Curry, for Draymond Green, for Klay Thompson.
Yeah, I think I'm more or less along the same lines. I don't like in my heart of hearts, do I think this team is like capable of beating almost anybody? Yeah, the answer, yeah, I do. I do think they can probably beat almost anybody. But I think it's a really unreasonable expectation. Like, and that's the whole point. That's why I watch sports, right? And so it'd be a fun time to watch that series. Do I think they're well equipped to play a team like the Thunder? Yeah, I do think that. You know, but I think this is kind of what we did the last 2 weeks, right? We did this whole thing where it's like, man, the Warriors are going to win out. They're gonna get the 8 seed, and I think in all, I can't speak for you guys, but what I saw on the timeline and among other Warriors fans, kind of like this like certainty and that kind of thing, right? Like the Warriors are gonna win out. The Pelicans game, I think going into it, I felt like okay, I think this is a win. I didn't know why. There's no reason to, right? We know this team at this point, so no, this team kind of is who they are, right? So that's not that grammar. That grammar was off. You are not is who you are, but they are what they are. Okay. For me though, it's more. I mean, I think getting to the playoffs is always just big. Like if I'm being real, this team has like they have ambitions for a second star. It sounds like going into the offseason. A lot of the guys that that the Warriors, I'm sure, want to be in position to make a run out, whether it's through a trade or well, that's their only option, right? They can't really sign anybody, but through a trade, are guys who are going to have some say in where they end up. If it's a Paul George, if it's I think Giannis is kind of the pie in the sky option, right? I don't think that's happening, to be clear. I don't think Giannis leaves Milwaukee. But Giannis, even LeBron, right? They're all guys who they need to think the Warriors are still serious. And I'm sorry, this team, if they don't make the playoffs this year, that's 4 out of the last 5 years they haven't made the playoffs, right? I mean, or 3 out of the last 5, I guess, right? So 1920, 2021, and this year. So it's 3 out of 5. That's not a great look. Steph's not getting younger. I'm sorry. I love Steph. If I'm a star player right now, I don't think I'm tying myself to a 37-year-old point guard. If it doesn't look like that's a team that's going to contend. I'm sorry if I'm Giannis. I didn't respond to anybody on Twitter yet. I'm going to, but like if I'm Giannis and I'm looking at the Warriors or the Knicks, I'm sorry, Jalen Brunson right now, in my opinion, is the best guard in the league. Like the guy is incredible. Like I think he's awesome. That's no knock on Steph. I think Steph at his best is probably still better. Right? That's just I think he's got the highest ceiling of any non-Jokic player in the league, in my opinion. But as far as just like what this guy can do for a team, yeah, I'd go to New York if I was any kind of star. I'd look at all kinds of places. So my point is, listen, I think it's important that they win this game. I think it's important they get into that 1-8 game. I think it's important that Jonathan Kuminga shows out. I think it's important that a young guy shows some stuff, whether that's for next year or for showing other teams like, hey, we have these young guys that can play. And if you send your guy our way, we have some pieces to send back your way. Alternatively, obviously, if they lose one of these next 2 games and don't even get in, that all goes out the door. So that's where I'm at. Important, very important. I agree though with Chuck and the idea that it doesn't tell us much more than we already know. We know this team needs to make changes, right? The only scenario is a we believe 2.0 run where they hit the title, right? That's not going to happen. I think in our brainiest brains, we don't expect that, but that'd be the only scenario where it would be apparent that this team doesn't need to make changes, and they need to make changes.
I mean, I think if they even win the title, they should still make changes.
Love that.
But no, I'm with you. I'm more so on your side, Matt. Chuck, I fully agree. I think that in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't change. Like obviously, you need to change this roster to complement these guys more, and you can't go into next season with Steph having to carry the load again like he did this year, like he did last year. I think it has to be in a way where it's similar to not even 2022 really, where he kind of carried as well, but. That was, now it's going to be almost by next year, it's going to be 3 years from removed calendar wise. So yeah, I think the importance for me though is for the young guys, Matt. I think you kind of hit on it. It's important to see who stays and who goes. You got a lot of young guys, guys that we want to see here, whether that's Pods, whether that's TJD, Kuminga, Moody. But in all likelihood, if you are going to try and make a move for somebody in the offseason, whatever that looks like, two, maybe three of those guys are not going to be on the team. So to get those valuable playoff minutes, to see these guys in series, to see how they handle, just the adversity on the road. We've seen it for over a decade, man. The role players stepping up, guys that you want to keep on a roster, guys that you want to move off of. So I think that's really the important part. And I think the bonus is that you're going to be going up against younger teams. And, obviously playing in the play-in is not helpful in that sense because you're kind of going directly into a game in OKC in this case. So yeah, in terms of, are they going to win a title like this? I'm never say never, but probably not. But at the same time, there's a lot to gather from what these guys can get out of a series even, or fuck around and win two. If you look at how that bracket kind of works out, it's teams that the Warriors can definitely hang with. It's just a question of, do they have enough left in the tank, which most likely it won't be the case. But I'm with you guys. I think in terms of the grand scheme of things, it doesn't change of how this team should approach the offseason. And we'll get into all of that hopefully later than sooner. But
next week.
In my next episode, who knows? But before we get out of here, guys, predictions for tomorrow night: Sacramento, Golden State, Taylor's oldest time, big bro, low bro, the I-80 matchup, whatever you want to call it. What do we got here? Chuckster, lead us off, man.
I mean, for all the reasons I said before, I expect Chris Paul to be able to step up a bit from a scoring perspective. If they come out and they start Trace Jackson Davis and Draymond, I'd started to feel real good about this game. And I think the Warriors pull this one out. I think there's just too much fight in this team to go out against Sacramento. They're going to want it real bad. And I think, when you're facing a team that, these guys are pro athletes. They've been through adversity, but when you lose two of your more important players in the finale of what's already been a kind of disappointing season, at least from a growth perspective, that's hard to come back from. So come out, hit them early, get this game going, and give yourself a chance to get into the real playoffs.
Love it.
Chuck, I love that. Again, I will push back on the hit him early idea. The Warriors are always hitting the snooze button and then going to work with their PJ still on. So I don't know about that. But no, I think they win. I do. Listen, I don't feel good about it. This is all gun to my head stuff. All right. And if I truly had a gun to my head by an enemy as often as I feel like I do with these bets, I would look like a John Wick villain, man. So no, I think they should win tomorrow. I don't think it really shouldn't be a crazy prospect, man. But this team doesn't make things easy. So I'm saying a win tomorrow. But I think they get bounced on Thursday. So that's my guess. Win tomorrow, bounced on Thursday, and I think that's probably all she wrote.
All right. Well, I can't have the season end this week, man. It's gonna be bittersweet. But no, I don't think it ends tomorrow. I'm with you guys. I just think they got the Kings. Especially with no Monk, no Huerter. Should be no excuse to lose this one. Thursday is going to be the real kind of test to see, depending on who they play. I think both those teams are going to be tough matchups. I pray to God it's going to not be LA. If that's the case, then yeah, it's a wrap on Thursday. But yeah, I think the Warriors got everything it takes. Look, if they can't wake up and find the urgency to take care of the basketball or defend properly or whatever it is for tomorrow, then the shit's been cooked. Just kind of the cherry on top. But no, I got the Warriors winning a dogfight tomorrow. I think it's gonna be close. I think it's gonna be a fun one. We're gonna get all sorts of fireworks and everything like that. I think the plan is gonna live up to the hype. But I think the Warriors find a way to survive another day and hopefully take a flight to New Orleans to seal the fate of the season. But before we get out of here, man, anything else, Chuckster, Matt? Anything you guys got on the horizon?
Nope, just the deep breath before the plunge, baby.
Love it. Get locked in, Chuckster.
Yeah, no, I got nothing. I'm gonna be spewing hate as frequently as I can and to as many people as I know. So
yeah, follow us on Twitter, guys. The Warriors getting eliminated or like the Warriors in a bad spot is always fun. I know Chuck and Matt might be more just kind of nicer, but I can get in my bag to some of these haters on
oh
Twitter.
yeah, if you want to see some
You want to, I remember
Gautam pushes the cancel line on Twitter when he's pissed off at opposing fan bases. So
yeah, man, I still feel bad
check
for
him
that one
out.
Lions fan that was talking shit, but
Yeah.
last season, buddy. But anyways, as always, guys, thanks for the support this season. Looking forward to the playoffs, regardless. The content's still gonna keep coming. Got a lot of teams still left in the dance. A lot of teams that have fans as well, and a lot of teams that we'd want to kind of get to know their mindset going through a playoff run. As bittersweet as this year has been, we've seen a lot of those. Still got 4 rings, so we know a little bit about winning in this league. But as always, guys, stay tuned, go Dubs, and we'll catch y'all on the next episode. Peace.